Welcome back, dear students. How's everything? Hope everything is going well. In the previous class, we completed the lesson A School for Sympathy. So today we will start a new lesson. So all of you take your English text and take page number 182. Did you take it? What's the title of the lesson? All of you read it? Yes, The Merchant of Venice. Students, now can you see some sentences given just below the title? This is a story that tells the world that the divine quality of mercy is always better than justice. The play is about the aftermath of the rivalry between Shylock, the Jew, and Antonio, the young Christian merchant of Venice. Read on and find how good finally triumphs over evil. Students, here we will deal with a play that is about the rivalry between Shylock and Antonio. Students, who is the author of the play The Merchant of Venice? Yes, very good. William Shakespeare is the author of the play The Merchant of Venice. Now let's go through the profile of William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare was born in 1564, was an English poet, playwright, and actor widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and as the world's preeminent dramatist. He is often called the Bard of Avon. His works consist of 37 plays, 154 sonnets, two narrative poems, and a few other verses, the authorship of some of which is uncertain. His plays have been translated into every major living language and are performed more often than those of any other playwright. Written sometime between 1596 and 1598, The Merchant of Venice is classified as an early Shakespearean comedy. William Shakespeare was died in 1616. Hope you all understood the profile of the author William Shakespeare. Students, now all of you read the first two pages individually and find out the difficult words. Okay, hope you all read the text. Now I'll give you a model reading. All of you listen attentively. Antonio was a young and honest merchant in the town of Venice. He was the kindest man ever lived. He always came to the help of the people in trouble. He was greatly loved by all his fellow citizens. Antonio had a bosom friend, Bassanio. He was a noble Venetian. He was not very rich. He had lived a luxurious life and squandered all the little money he had. Whenever he wanted money, Antonio helped him. It seemed they had but one heart and one purse between them. Bassanio loved a girl named Portia, a very wealthy lady living in Belmont. Her father died some time ago and she was the only heiress to a large estate. Portia too loved Bassanio. Now he thought of improving his fortune by marrying her. One day Bassanio came to Antonio and told him about his love for Portia and that he must go very soon to Belmont as a suitor to Portia. But he did not have any money even to dress himself suitably as the lover of so rich an heiress. So she asked Antonio to help him. Bassanio wanted his friend to lend him 3,000 ducats. But it so happened that Antonio had spent all his money on his ships and so had no money with him. But he expected some of his ships to come home soon laden with merchandise. Hence, he decided to borrow the amount from Shylock, who was a money lender. Shylock had become very rich by lending money at a very high interest to merchants. He was a hard-hearted man and was very severe with his customers. So, he was much disliked by all good men. Antonio also disliked Shylock for being so ambitious and greedy for money. He used to lend money to the needy people without taking any interest. Therefore, there was great enmity between the greedy Shylock and Antonio. Antonio and Bassanio went to Shylock. Antonio asked the Jew to lend him 3,000 ducats at any interest. He would pay it back as soon as his ships returned from the sea. Shylock thought deeply. He took this as a golden opportunity to take revenge on the Venetian who had insulted him many times. Yes, I'll lend you the money and I'll take no interest, said the greedy moneylender. Antonio was surprised at this kind offer. Shylock still pretended to be generous. He again said he would lend him the 3,000 ducats and take no interest for his money if repaid in time. His only condition was that Antonio should go with him to a lawyer and sign a bond in Murray's port stating that if he did not repay the money in time, he would forfeit a pound of flesh to be cut off from any part of his body. No, cried Bassanio, you shall run no such risk for me. But Antonio insisted that he would sign it, for he was sure that his ships would return with money before the day of payment. Antonio signed the bond and got the money, which he handed over to Bassanio, who immediately set off to Belmont with a splendid train to possess Portia as his partner of life. Students, hope you all identified the difficult words. Am I right? Now let's go through its meanings. Trouble means bad condition. Bosom friend, close friend. Luxurious meaning as very comfortable. Squandered, wasted carelessly. Heiress, a woman who is legally entitled to the property. Estate, the money and properties that a person owns. Suitor meaning as a man who wants to marry a particular woman. Ducats means gold coins. Laden, heavily loaded. Merchandise, goods to be bought and sold. Money lender means one who lends money. Hard-hearted, unkind. Severe, strict. Jew, any person whose religion is Judaism. Pretended, meaning as made himself appear to be in order to cheat. Generous, ready to give money freely. Murray sport, as a joke. Forfeit, to give up something. Pound, a unit of weight. Insisted, demand the specified thing. Train, a group of attendants following an important person. Students, now let's go through the explanation. Antonio was an honest and kindest merchant in Venice. He liked to help people in trouble, so everyone liked Antonio. Antonio had a close friend. His name was Bassanio. Bassanio was a noble man lived in Venice. He was not very rich, but he had lived a luxurious life and wasted all the money carelessly. So Bassanio's friend Antonio helped him whenever he wanted money. Bassanio was in love with a beautiful, intelligent, rich girl. Her name was Portia, a lady of Belmont. She had inherited considerable properties from her wealthy father. To win her heart as well as to be her future husband, Bassanio needed 3,000 ducats to look like the appropriate husband. So he asked Antonio to help him. Antonio appreciates Bassanio, so when he asked for 3,000 ducats, Antonio said yes before knowing it was to propose Portia. All his money were tied up in merchant ship at sea, so Antonio must go to greedy Jewish Shylock for demanding the money. Shylock was a Jewish money lender. Shylock had become very rich by lending money at a very high interest to merchants. He was very strict and unkind with his customers, so everyone hated him. As Shylock was a greedy for money, Antonio disliked him. Here everyone liked Antonio because he used to lend money to the needy people without taking any interest. Therefore, there was a great enmity between the greedy Shylock and Antonio. The best friends Antonio and Bassanio went to Shylock and asked him to lend them 3,000 ducats at any interest. But Shylock took this as a golden opportunity to take revenge against Antonio, who insulted him many times. What was the reply of the moneylender Shylock? Yes, very good. He said that he will lend him the money and take no interest if repaid in time. Hearing this, Antonio became surprised. Shylock pretended to be generous. But Shylock had a condition that Antonio should go with him to a lawyer to sign on the conditioned bond, stating that if Antonio couldn't repay the money in time, he would give a pound of flesh from any part of his body. Hearing that, Bassanio felt very sad and he said him not to take such risk for him. But what about Antonio? Yes, Antonio was ready to take that risk because he was sure that his ships would return before the day of payment. Antonio signed the bond and he handed over the money to Bassanio. Then Bassanio went to Belmont to marry Portia. Students, hope you all understood the explanation. Am I right? Students, this video will be continued in the next video, that is part 1b.